Yo, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of the Sauce. We got Monday Night Football here. Bears at Vikings. Coming off a good Sunday. Top bets went 2-1-1. The day as a whole was slightly in the green, and then finished the day off with Ravens -3 and the under. So cashed both of those last night. So yeah, great Sunday. Let's keep the positivity rolling. Like I said, Bears at Vikings. This line's Minnesota -3, down from 3.5. Total sitting at 44. Let's do it.
Welcome to the Sauce. The Sauce. Sauce. Hey, get the sauce.
So like I said, this line was at 3.5 back on Tuesday morning, but everyone bought up those 3.5s. The public, sharps, everyone liked the Bears at 3.5. Now that it's down to 3, action seems to be coming in on Minnesota. Tickets are now over 50% of the Vikings, so seems like the public likes the Vikings at an even 3. Let's talk injury reports. Bears offense completely good to go. Dante Foreman is out. But they've got Khalil Herbert and Roschon Johnson both healthy now, so shouldn't be too much of a hit. Chicago looking pretty good on defense as well. They're going to be missing Tyreek Stevenson at corner, which is a big loss. But this Bears defense has dealt with so many injuries this year. Brisker's now healthy at safety. He missed a game or two. He was banged up for a little while. Tremaine Edmonds is now healthy. He missed a couple games. Eddie Jackson's now healthy. So they're missing a corner, and Stevenson's a good corner. But as a whole, they're in pretty good shape overall. On the Minnesota side, Vikings offense most likely going to be without Justin Jefferson for one more week. I'm reading that it's very unlikely that they activate Jefferson off the IR. Vikings have a bye next week, so if they sit Justin Jefferson out one more game, he gets an extra 13 days to heal, so that seems to be what they're going to do. Other than that, Vikings are good to go on offense. Vikings defense definitely missing some pieces. Jordan Hicks still on the IR. This will be the second game in a row he's missed. Davenport is still out. He hasn't played in 5 or 6 weeks now. Dean Lowry's still out. He's been out for about a month. So Jordan Hicks is the only one of these that's relatively new. Davenport and Lowry have both missed significant time now. So let's match these two teams up on the field, and we'll start with the Vikings offense. This is a completely different unit without Kirk Cousins and with Dobbs at quarterback. Through the first 8 games, Minnesota was averaging just 20.6 rush attempts per game, 31st in the NFL. Since Dobbs took over, they're averaging 34 rush attempts per game. That's 3rd most in the NFL. So Minnesota went from one of the most pass-heavy offenses in the league with Cousins to one of the most run-heavy offenses in the league with Dobbs, a complete 180. And they've done a solid job. They're averaging 149 rush yards per game in the last 3. That's 5th most in the NFL in that time span. Just 4.4 yards per carry, which is back at 16th, so not insanely efficient. But still, run game has been there for the Vikings. But this new Vikings offense, this run-first Vikings offense, they're in for a tough matchup because the Bears have been excellent against the run this year. They're allowing just 3.4 yards per carry on the season. That's 1st in the NFL. 1st. They're rated 6th in run defense DVOA, 2nd in adjusted line yards. It's one of the best run defenses in the NFL. 2 weeks ago, we saw the Saints defense come into Minnesota and hold the Vikings run game down. 33 carries, just 125 yards, just 3.8 yards per carry. And that was the Saints. Bears run defense has been even better than the Saints. If the Bears do a similar job defensively, which I think they most likely will because they've been great against the run, that means there's going to be a lot of pressure on Dobbs to get the pass game going here, and he's been just okay throwing the ball since getting to Minnesota. He's completing 65.6% of his passes, 6.74 yards per pass attempt, 215 yards per game, and a 94 passer rating. So he's been decent, but the thing is, he's not a dog here. He's laying a full 3. If we don't think the run game's going to be there, I need better passing numbers than that if I'm going to lay a full 3 points. Especially because the Bears' pass defense hasn't been nearly as bad recently. Bears on the season are one of the worst pass defenses in the NFL. But that secondary had a lot of injury issues earlier in the season. Since they've gotten completely healthy, the Bears have played the pass pretty well. In the last 3 weeks, they're 13th in opponent passer rating, 10th in yards per pass attempt allowed. The Bears just held Jared Goff to his worst game of the season on the road in Ford Field. 23 of 35, 236 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 picks, a 68 pass rating. His worst game of the year. A couple weeks before that, another tough matchup for the Bears pass defense. They went on the road into New Orleans. Derek Carr just 25 of 34, 211 yards. Now, he did throw 2 touchdowns, so he had a decent passer rating, but 6.2 yards per pass attempt? The Bears' last 2 road games, they went to Ford Field and the Superdome and held Jared Goff and Derek Carr down. Joshua Dobbs isn't terrible throwing the ball, but he's not Jared Goff or Derek Carr. I'm sure Dobbs is going to make some plays. He's a great athlete. Maybe extend some, make some throws outside the pocket. Maybe make some plays with his legs. Maybe Dobbs over rushing yards is worth a look. But as a whole, I like the Bears defense in this matchup. But now we get to the other side of the ball, and we've got a big mismatch right out of the gate here. What do we know about this Vikings defense? They run a ton of zone coverage. 74.9% of Minnesota's defensive snaps this year have been in zone coverage. That's the most in the NFL. No other team in the league runs more zone coverage than the Vikings. The reason that's a problem, Justin Fields has been terrible trying to throw the ball into zone coverage. Against man coverage, Fields is 6th in passer rating, 4th in yards per pass attempt. Against zone, 35th and 41st out of 43 qualified quarterbacks. Fields has been terrible against zone coverage. I mean, that's a really bad start to this handicap for the Bears offense. And this Vikings pass defense has been solid. It's not elite, but it's pretty solid. In the last 3 games, the Vikings are 11th in opponent passer rating, 15th in yards per pass attempt allowed. This is a tough matchup for Justin Fields. Chicago needs to get the run game going in this one badly. They've been great on the ground this year. They're 8th in yards per carry as a team, 10th in DVOA, 4th in adjusted line yards. So they can 100% run the ball. But you know who's been pretty solid against the run this year? Minnesota. On the season, the Vikings are allowing just 3.7 yards per carry. That's 4th best in the NFL. Now, they're back at 12th in DVOA and 15th in adjusted line yards. So deeper metrics indicate this run defense isn't quite as elite as 4th in the NFL in yards per carry. Those are a little inflated, but still, this is a good defense against the run. The Bears were able to run the ball on the Vikings in their first matchup, though. 36 carries, 162 yards, 4.5 yards per carry, and the longest run for the Bears in that game was only 17 yards, meaning Chicago was consistently getting chunks in the run game against the Vikings back in week 6. In fact, the Bears actually outgained the Vikings in that game, 273 to 220. They lost 19-13, but that was mostly due to the 3 turnovers and Justin Fields leaving the game right after halftime with an injury. That was Kirk Cousins and only one half of Justin Fields. This is a full game of Justin Fields with no Kirk Cousins. Before we get to my bets on the game, I do have an underdog pick'em here. It's a 3-pick, so it pays out 6 times. Cole Kmet higher than 4 receptions. I always like to take the tight ends overs against zone coverage. I feel like that's always the safety blanket. They're always the guys that find the holes in the zone. So that's what I'm rolling with. Joshua Dobbs lower than 231.5 pass yards. Alex Madison lower than 44.5 rush yards. If you don't have an Underdog fantasy account, it's available in any state highlighted in this map. So if you're in one of these states right here, you can head over to the website or download the app Underdog Fantasy. When you make your account, make sure you use the promo code BET. BET. That'll get you a $100 deposit bonus match. So if you deposit $100, they will give you a free $100 to play with. As far as when I'm betting, well, you know I'm on the under. Of course I'm on the under. It's a primetime game, and these primetime unders continue to cash at an insanely high rate. And I also like the under in the matchup. I like the matchup for the Bears defense. I think Justin Fields is going to struggle to throw the ball. So give me the under at 44. And I'm taking the Bears, man. I'm thinking a low-scoring game. I wish I got in at 3.5, but I didn't. Still down to play it at 3. So give me Chicago +3 and under 44. If you want our top bets for all sports, parlays of the day, or you want to join our Discord, head over to KyleKirms.com. The information's right there on the homepage. Monday Night Football. Let's finish off Week 12 properly. Also, we got some NBA tonight. Championship weekend for college football. Let's bet responsibly, and I'll talk to you in the Discord.